Hey guys, it's Ryan. And before the start of this episode, I want to apologize for the poor sound quality because there are some technical issues, some problems that occurred during the recording, and then we didn't realize it until halfway through recording the podcast. It got better afterwards, but still, I really hope you would look past it and try to stay for the podcast, for the content, because Josh and I really enjoyed making this episode. Is really fun topic for us to talk about, and I hope you enjoy it too. Once again, really sorry that the quality is worse than usual. Once again, really appreciate your support. Like, now that you're actually listening to the podcast, really it means a lot to us. And yeah, sincere apology once again, and hope you enjoy this episode. Okay. Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the third episode of the Gentleman's Discourse. Hope everyone's doing fine. I hope, Josh, you're doing fine.
Yep.
Uh, I hope you're doing fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm fine, dude.
it's been a while since we talked again.
Last week, yeah.
I feel like we don't talk a lot. We don't talk a lot in between episodes.
Yeah, we are like pretty
Busy
busy
life,
with our
busy
stuff.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, you were like
I yeah.
moving. Yeah.
I just recently moved to move back to campus, this new apartment.
Uh-huh.
I quite like it. I mean, it's not like I can not like it and change it. So I've conditioned myself to like it. So
Yeah.
but actually, it's really nice.
Yeah. For
So
me,
yeah,
my
how you
week
been?
was like recently I just like broke my phone a few days
Oh
ago.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Damn.
it's
You
been
t-
alright though. It's been
it's
alright.
5 years old phone, yeah.
Yeah, 5 years old.
Bro, just change it. I don't know why you're so attached to that phone. Just change it, man.
It's just the headphone jack, to be honest. It just grows on me. I like listening to music and I don't really like
Oh,
want
right.
like
The headphone
Bluetooth
jack thing.
headphones.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So, I want to tell you this
Yep.
thing. So recently, I, just casually browsing the internet,
Uh-huh.
and you know how the late night internet browsing session, you're gonna stumble upon some really weird things online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Like
don't
random
ask any
stuff.
question. I was just on this article talking about like fun Asian facts, okay?
Yeah.
And this is one of the facts. I'm not kidding. Okay, first of all, I don't know if it's true, but if it's true, it's gonna be really funny.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, you ready? In
Yeah,
so
hit me with
apparently,
it.
in India,
Uh-huh.
babies, let's say, I don't think it's newborn. I'd say like a month or 2 months old. Okay, in
Yeah, yeah.
India, babies get thrown from a temple
Oh.
for good luck.
Like okay. Like thrown as in how? Like you just like
Okay,
yeeted out?
this is what it said. Um, the Muslim and Hindu Indians have a horrible ritual where young babies get thrown from a local temple into a blanket. By doing this, it is believed that the screaming babies get good luck and stay safe and healthy.
Oh.
What?
I mean,
But
yeah,
just imagine, let's say you're a tourist without,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you don't know about this ritual, and then you're just walking by a temple
You
because
just
you're
hear
there
a
to do
baby
a
just
visit.
like
You just saw
flying
a
and then
baby
screaming.
flying.
Yeah,
It'd be really funny. But
yeah, dude.
that also, sparked my piqued my interest, I'd say,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
how um Asians have a lot of like weird cultural practices. Not weird, but like really specific cultural practices,
uh-huh, uh-huh.
right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, if you take a step back, I mean, we're from Hong Kong. If we take a step back and look at Dragon Boat Festival,
Uh-huh.
that thing like is really specific too, because of its origin story, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The guy who jumped off who jumped into the river, right?
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to tell the story a little bit for those who may
Oh,
not know?
I mean, I'm not like really. I might not get this like 100% correct,
Yeah, it's
but
okay.
it's basically so this guy. All I know he's a scholar, right? So I don't know
Yeah, yeah,
exactly why. I think according to my parents or so I've heard, he was unhappy with the like
the
society
politics. Yeah,
or the
yeah.
politics that, and then he just felt like he didn't want to he didn't want to.
Live anymore.
Yeah, basically that. All right, I feel like I'm like underplaying and just like missing out a whole bunch of the
I
story.
don't think
But
so. Actually, that's how the
all
story
I
went,
know is
bro.
that this guy who is a really good person and he jumped off. Well, he basically committed suicide, and he jumped into the river because he was because he was unhappy with the whatever situation going on within that time, and
Yeah,
apparently people wanted to commemorate him and
yeah, yeah.
we
Preserve
have
his body.
we have this thing we eat, right? It's I don't know how to say it in English.
Is it like rice dumpling or something like that? I
It's
forgot. I
bigger
actually
than a
forgot.
dumpling. It's like a
Um,
rice, but it's like a pyramid shape. Sometimes it's pyramid, sometimes it's something else, and we wrap it in a special
I think
leaf.
it's called rice dumpling.
Oh yeah, rice dumplings. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
it's called rice
basically
dumpling.
at that time, because people loved this guy so much, and they don't want him to be eaten by the fishes in the river, so they would make
Yeah,
these rice dumplings and throw it into the river, and so sort of like protect the guy from being eaten by fishes.
yeah,
And
and
then
also
yeah, that became a tradition, and then every time it's near the Dragon Boat Festival. If you're living in Asian areas, or predominantly like Chinese, this is like I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Koreans have something similar, but I think
Wait,
the
actually,
origin is different. Yeah, Koreans have some like a similar festival to our Chinese Dragon Boat Festival, but their origin is kind of different, and they call it different stuff. So I think I don't want to appropriate, but the roots are kind of the same, but then it's about
okay.
different stuff. It's still called Dragon Ball's festival. So in Cantonese, it's still called like Dumzi. So like
Oh,
that's the
okay,
version.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I
but
didn't
they
know
had like
Korea has the
different versions.
same.
Yeah, they
Okay.
had like a version of it, and it's I think it was like a cultural heritage as well.
Oh, okay. So another key thing about the Dragon Boat Festival is that obviously we eat rice dumplings, and then the Dragon Boat aspect actually came from, I mean, the same reason how people back then didn't want fish to eat the corpse of that scholar, so they would also, sail into the sea and then start like banging on drums
Oh yeah,
to scare the fish away. That's why there's this Dragon Boat Festival where we would race on dragon boats, so called, and then there's like the drummer, and people
uh
would
huh.
row to race, right? So that's that. And then see like how this is really really specific. This is really
Yes,
weird. Like,
yes, yes.
and obviously uh, as an Asian here in Vancouver,
Yeah,
I'm a minority, right?
yeah.
And actually, like 2 years ago when I first came here, literally, I'm not joking. Literally, so we had like something called orientation camp. I think
Uh huh.
Hong Kong, like university in Hong Kong, has something the same thing. Yeah, O camp. Yeah, the
Yeah, yeah,
same
yeah.
thing. So during that week, I remember really vividly that the second day I was hanging out with my friends in canteen. You know how like during that period of time everyone's like so eager to make friends. I remember I was just having breakfast with my friend. This white dude just came in, and then he's all friendly and stuff, trying to chat up with us, make friends, whatever.
Uh huh.
And then he turned to me and then he was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm Brian.
Yeah.
What's your name?" He was like, "I forgot his name. Let's call him Greg or whatever." Okay,
Greg.
let's call him
Yeah,
Greg.
Greg Smith.
Or yeah. So he started. He was like,
Typical.
"Hi, hey, like, nice to meet
Yeah,
you."
yeah.
I get. He said verbatim. He said, "Oh, I guess you're from. I guess you're Chinese, eh? Like you
Uh
haven't
huh.
told me,
Okay.
but
This
I
doesn't sound pretty good,
yeah,
man.
yeah." He was like, "I
Continue.
guess you're Chinese, right? I just deduced that from your facial features, your small eyes and your flat nose. I was so offended, bro. I
Yo,
was so offended, but I didn't know how to. But
yo.
the thing is, I didn't know how to stand up for myself because that's like the
He
first.
he did not just say
He
that.
did not just say that. I was because, as
Oh,
I said, how I came from a Chinese city, a Chinese country, or whatever, into a foreign
yes.
country, and then all of a sudden I'm a
Yeah.
minority, and that's like the first.
So yeah, we moved from like a majority into like minority because so where I live, so where you used to live, we lived in Hong Kong. It's predominantly just Asians, and
Yeah,
I've heard like a lot of people also saying stuff like, "Oh, once you like move into like different like more, let's say like more diverse community, you get some shit like that every day."
that was tough, man. And then I didn't.
Yeah.
I was angry, but then I was also
Uh huh.
scared because I didn't know how
Why
to.
were you scared?
Because I didn't know. First of all, my English wasn't that good back then. It's not like I can speak for myself, and it's not like I am brave enough to stand up for myself. But now, if someone, I'd swear to God,
So
if
do you
someone,
think that
yeah,
yeah?
no, 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 go ahead, go ahead,
Like,
go
do you
ahead.
think it's just because of your like language that you feel like you can't stand up for yourself, or is there like something else?
I've, after that, after I think it's like half a year into first year or like 9 months,
Uh-huh.
whatever, and then there's like a similar incident that happened to
Yeah, yeah.
a stranger in downtown, not to myself, but basically it's a Chinese girl waiting in line for a bus, right? And then these four, I'd say they're from like
Yes.
Sweden or from Switzerland, I don't know, some Nordic country. They look tall as shit, and they're so pale. I think they're Northern
Uh-huh.
Europeans. So these four drunk Europeans jumped the line, right? And then
Oh,
the
okay.
girl was like, "Hey, you gotta line up for the bus." And then these four dudes just started yelling racial slurs at the girl and be like, "Yo, shut
Oh,
up! You don't know."
that's
That's
bad.
tough. But the thing is, the good thing about Vancouver is that other than Canadians, I mean not white
Yeah.
Canadians, right? The second most
Uh-huh.
dominant race, I think, in Vancouver is Asians. So they're
Oh,
so
okay.
basically in that line, there are like, let's say there are 10 of us. I think like six
Uh-huh.
of us are like Asians. And then
Oh,
in
okay.
the six of us, I think there are like four of us that are like college students. So everyone just started going
Oh,
off at those
they
guys.
picked the wrong
They
neighborhood.
picked the wrong neighborhood. But that's
Oh
that's
no.
that's crazy, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the whole what do you okay, let me ask you a question.
Yep.
Are you proud to be an Asian? Is a tough question.
Uh, like okay. I don't know how you would classify like the word proud. I'm not ashamed by any way of being Asian. I don't think that I'm like um lesser than anyone out there. But I tend to not think about things like too racially. Because I think I'm proud of, rather than saying I'm proud that I'm Asian, I'm proud of who I am.
Okay.
And if Asian is part of my identity, then sure, it's like a whole package. So I'm proud of myself in that context.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
I guess
beyond, yeah, of course. Yeah.
I guess the
So the short answer is yes. Long answer is it's like that. So yeah.
okay, but okay, sorry. I think I asked the wrong question. I meant to ask
Oh,
how
okay.
much do you honor your Asian heritage?
Oh,
Yeah.
like how much do I like? Ah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I guess that's the question.
Okay. So I went back in high school. So to give the listeners a bit of context, right? Um, so Ryan and I are in the same high school, but we are studying like two different streams of like curriculums. So he's studying the more international curriculum. So it's called IB,
Mm-hmm.
and that is more tailored towards international stuff.
Yeah.
So like Chinese isn't a hard requirement. Like it
It's
isn't
a it's a
mandatory,
it's a
right?
man it's Wait, no, it's
No,
not
you can choose
mandatory. Yeah, yeah,
Spanish
yeah.
though,
You can
right?
choose Spanish. Yeah, you can
That
choose
you
Spanish.
get to choose, and then your Chinese is a lot more like, I don't want to trash on them, but it's a lot more easier,
I'd say, yeah,
right? Than
compared to local
compared
curriculum,
to
it's
our.
easier.
So yeah, I went through the local curriculum where I had to go through like all those Chinese stuff, and my Chinese was never too good. Like, um, when I was younger, I went to like international schools. Um, my although my both of my parents are they have Chinese as their first languages. Like my Chinese is like a first language as well. But then if you want to apply that to exam in that context, my Chinese wasn't that great. So to for me to complete that curriculum, I had to read a lot of stuffs from like a lot of those older stuffs, like
Mm-hmm.
older texts
Yeah, yeah,
that are from like way back.
yeah.
So we call them I don't know how to say that in English, but in Chinese it's called manyin. So basically that means
I'd
older
say it's
Chinese.
like classic literature.
It's sort of like Shakespeare,
So
like
yeah,
those
yeah, yeah, yeah,
stuff,
yeah. Exactly,
where like the
exactly.
English is like thy, those stuff, but then it's in Chinese, and then it's like 10 times harder. Like the Chinese word system, like how you write Chinese characters, is already pretty complex. And then when you have the older, more traditional text, it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But then, but then for me to go through it, I actually learned a lot more about Chinese culture in general, because when you read texts from before,
Yeah.
and it's actually a lot, you get a lot of like insight into their like the Chinese societal values and stuff. There are some stuffs that I agree with, that I would apply, like some philosophical stuffs. But I would say that in terms of how I honor my heritage, I would say like I just take out parts that I think are useful to me and
Yeah.
apply to like modern day context. And some of the, okay, I'm gonna trigger like the older generation, but
Wait.
some of the more obsolete stuff
Yeah.
I tend to ignore.
What do you
So
mean?
like
What do you mean
really,
obsolete?
really, okay. So for example, in Chinese tradition, they had this weird rule where you, for example, this is just one example, right? So if you're eating with people who are older than you, right?
Yeah.
And basically as a younger person, or if you're younger, you're not supposed to eat until like they start first, and then you're supposed to like, I don't know, let them pick
Oh.
what food they want, like those stuff.
Oh. Okay.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get it, I get it's within the Chinese culture, like the context where it's like, I think there's a word for it. It's like filial piety or something.
What the
So
hell?
you're supposed to like, yeah, that's a word for like respecting your parents and I guess elders in general. They tend to focus on that a lot. um I tend to view it as sometimes it's kind of like forced. I mean, I still respect elders, like don't get me wrong, but sometimes I just think like, oh wow, these gestures are kind of unnecessary, and
Yeah.
like, I kind of feel like, eh,
I mean, that's
my
true.
mixed feelings basically.
That's
Yeah.
true. I mean, it doesn't really bother me to follow those rules. It's not like, I mean, okay,
Yeah,
first
yeah,
of
yeah.
all, it's not like I eat with my grandparents or my yeah, it's not like I eat with my grandparents every day. It's like one of my not one of my
Oh yeah, it's
once
just
in a
like
while thing,
occasionally,
right?
right?
Occasionally. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess I honor enough of my Asian. I I guess this idea never occurred to me before
Uh-huh.
coming to Canada, because back in Hong Kong, I'm like, in my mind, it's like, okay, I'm a human being that was born and raised in
Yeah,
Hong
yeah,
Kong,
yeah, yeah.
right? So I just exist here, whatever culture. Okay, Chinese New Year, haha, that's that. Mid Autumn Festival, when we were younger, right? All these stuff, but and then after coming to Vancouver, and I have this like cultural clash, I'd say. It's not like I
Uh-huh.
can't assimilate into a different culture, but sometimes when I was doing something different and my friends be like, oh, why are you doing that? I was like, oh, I used to do that in Hong Kong. And they were like, oh.
Oh
in
yeah.
Canada we do this instead of that. I was like, oh, okay. So like now and then at that time, yeah,
It's
that
like that
moment,
Avengers scene.
yeah,
Like we don't do that
we
here.
don't do that. Yeah, you don't bow, bro.
Yeah, I had that similar experience as well. So in Asian culture, we sort of value this like virtue where like, so if I help you,
Mm-hmm.
so for example, all right, let me rephrase it. So that, for example, you lend, like gave me some money because I was low on cash and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you gave me like $100, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in Asian culture, it's supposed to be like, oh, because you gave me 100 today, when I earn back like, let's say 500, I'm gonna repay you 200, because it's like, oh, I honor your
Oh,
like those
do people
stuff. I
actually do
honor
that
you.
though? Like,
Well, it's more it's a bit more complex.
okay,
But in general, it's
yeah,
more,
yeah,
they stress a lot of like exchange. So like, you help me, then I must help you. But then one time when I had this when I think I was playing a game or something, so like online games, and it was an RPG game, and I was playing with people from America. And so at that time, I wanted to buy something in game, but like, I was short on like gold or whatever or you want to call it. So that guy gave me it, and he didn't expect me to return it. And so
oh,
of
okay.
course, because I have habitually, I tend to give it back. I didn't give a bit more, but then he was like surprised. I was like, "Oh wow, you're the first person to actually give something back to me when they say I want to borrow some, or like, do you have some extra gold or something?" And then we had this conversation about how we like do things differently. And at that time, I was like, "Oh wow, maybe like
Uh-huh.
living in like a purely Asian society, it's sort of like different
Yeah.
when you like go into like a predominantly Western society." I guess
Yeah.
that's what I want to say.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And you know what that reminded me of, like when you say when you talk about all these so-called like obsolete like cultural practices, it reminds me
Uh huh.
of Japan, because Japan was known for
Oh, Japan.
having some of the like most like strictest rules and cultural customs and stuff that you have to follow. Actually,
Really?
yeah, so literally just Googled it. It says it
Uh
is
huh.
rude to eat or drink while walking. What?
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
that never occurred. Like in Hong Kong, street food is a big thing.
Well, all I know is like in Japan, you're supposed to like slurp on your noodles or some
Yeah, yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
and
exactly. They have like
it's
really.
supposed to be like a like, if you like the chef's food, then you want to express like, oh, it's really tasty by like slurping on your noodles really hard. But
Yeah,
then in Western culture, that's like poor table manner. It's just, I think it's just like some nuances in different cultures,
yeah,
to be
yeah.
honest.
And another thing that my dad told me, because one time, no, actually
Yeah.
not one time, but a few times, he was like on in this like let's say meeting, business meeting, but you know, in
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
dinner setting. So he was out
Yep.
having dinner with some of this business partner, whatever, and they're Japanese, and then you know they like to drink. Everyone likes to drink a little bit, right? And
Yeah,
then
yeah, sure.
so, and like in Chinese culture, it is normal. Let's say I'm the youngling, okay, and then I pour
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
everyone, and then
Oh, yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
Japan, apparently everyone pours for everyone. So I poured for
Oh,
you, and like
I know this fun fact
yeah,
about what you just said, like the pour and drink stuff. I think in Korea,
yeah.
they like the younger ones are supposed to pour the drink for the older ones. I may or may not have gotten that from like K dramas and stuff, but I'm not too sure about it. So please don't go after me. But I think all right. I think in the Korean languages as well, they have different, like, when you call someone, you address them differently based on your age.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I think they have like certain nuances towards the language as well. So like, age is actually pretty like a common theme within Asian cultures.
yeah.
Like, I don't know if you notice. So like, for example, in Chinese culture, you might have like what I just told you, right? What did I just said? Filial piety, that word, whatever that
Yeah,
means.
yeah. whatever.
where it's like you respect your elders a lot.
Yeah.
And then in Korean, they even this that concept, it's even like inscripted into the language itself. So I think you're not supposed to call someone, or you're not supposed to use a certain way to address someone
Yeah.
if he's like older than you, or she in that case.
I mean, in Japanese, they have the same thing, but Korean's
Oh
just
yeah, I
like
think they do have the same thing.
hardcore. I
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
like a clip. I guess 3 days ago, this dude was saying,
Uh-huh.
okay, the phrase "Have you eaten? Have you eaten yet?" Okay, this phrase
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
Korean, if
Yeah.
you're talking to different people, let's say your friend and your parents, and then your grandparents, whatever,
Oh yeah,
there are
yeah,
like
yeah. It's different.
7 variations of the same phrase
Yes, yes,
meaning
yes.
the same thing. I can't do that. Imagine learning that. Holy shit.
I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Okay, another question I have for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you think uh keep doing these cultural practices is a good thing?
I mean, if that's part of your identity and it's part of your culture, and if there's like nothing like too morally reprimandable things to do, for example, like, I don't know, like people get this like weird obsession that, oh, you're Asian, do you eat dogs, ha ha ha, like we get all those jokes all the time. But then the thing is, see, eating dogs is not in our culture. It's
Yeah,
just one, it's like a more like a cuisine than the culture, right? So I don't know. I would love to preserve like some the good parts of the Asian culture,
okay.
because honestly, I, as a Chinese descent, and as I've like read into a lot of like the older stuff, for example, stuffs from like even like uh the famous like Art of War,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Famous, really like well-known Eastern philosophies, those stuffs. I think there are stuffs to be preserved. There are stuffs worth preserving, but there are also some stuff like the stuff I just said, where like it's kind of like I don't think it's up to date.
Yeah.
So I think it's, we probably don't have to reinforce it that hard. But for example, if it's so deep rooted into the culture, for example, for Koreans, maybe it's already in their language. I
Yeah.
don't think that following whatever culture, or it's like, I don't think it's bad. I think it's just culture,
Because the
right?
reason why that question is valid, it's like that's a valid question, is because I remember a few years back, my mom, okay, you know how Chinese people have this practice where they go to temples, they
Oh, they pray for
worship, yeah,
stuff, right?
they
Yep.
worship the
Yeah.
gods, they pray for things. Let's say, oh, I pray that my son will get into university. I pray
Oh
for
yeah,
good,
yeah,
well, I
yeah.
pray
Those
for good
stuffs.
health. And then
Yep.
I remember my mom asking me, no, actually telling me that she
Ah.
told me that I should remember how to do these things. I should learn at least how to
Oh,
do these
okay.
things, or else after like she literally told me after she died, there will
Oh,
like you better do the same thing for me. So you better
or
learn
she's gonna
how
haunt you.
to. Oh, I'll be so scared. My
Oh,
mom, yeah, I feel like if like touch wood, if my mom was a ghost, she's gonna scare me for life. She's gonna just prank me every night.
oh,
But yeah, so that's
oh,
what she told me, and I was like, okay, what if I don't know anymore though? Does that mean
I
that
don't
does
know.
that mean less? I mean, does the term I am Asian means less when I know less
See,
and less
what
about?
what you just said, actually, it's pretty close to my personal experience. So my mother, as so my grandmother,
Yeah.
she passed away. Actually, grandmother on both sides,
Re-
they all passed away,
Rest in
but
peace.
yeah, rest in peace indeed. So basically at that time, my mother wasn't a Christian yet. So my grandmother's ashes are in a Chinese temple.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like where you burn like incenses, they worship, I don't know,
Yeah.
Buddha? Is that?
I
I
guess
don't know.
I
I
actually
don't know the
forgot what
term.
it's called.
I actually
a
don't know because there's
Chinese
so
cemetery,
many.
whatever.
There are so many gods in this Chinese stuff because it's
Yeah.
regional. For
Oh
example,
yeah.
for Hong Kong, because it's a fisherman
Yeah.
uh, region, they worship gods that are related to the sea.
Yeah.
Same as Taiwan. So Taiwan, they have this god called Mazu, which is I don't know, it's
Yeah.
some like
Yeah. Yeah.
fishing stuff. So it's the gods that the Chinese people in that they worship are most likely regional and close knit to what they're doing for a living. So back to what I was saying, she so her mother, my mom's mom, so her mother is her ashes are in a Chinese temple.
Hmm.
So even after my mom became a Christian, she would still visit those temples,
Yeah.
and I was always say like, "Huh, that sounds." I was always ask her, "Hey, doesn't it feel weird for you?" And she would be like, "No, it's I'm just visiting like my mom basically." So
Yeah.
I don't know. Even if like she's a Christian, I think she still would like visit those places, which is considered as heresy, right? Which
Yeah.
is kind of contradicting. But then because culture plays such a big role, and I feel like I don't know, I don't want to talk too much about this because it's kind of personal. But I feel like there's like an obligation, at least for my mother, to visit her mother despite of whatever belief she
Yeah.
believes
Yeah.
in. And yeah, I think that's I don't know another aspect of Asian culture, like
Right.
when you say like the dead, honoring the dead, and especially your elder, right? Even if they're dead, you even if you're not, even if you're like already a converted Christian, it doesn't necessarily like contradict the fact that you would go and like, although she wouldn't burn like, because when we have this, I don't know what festival is it, where you're supposed to visit the elder's grave. What was that festival called? I don't know what's it. I don't even know how to say it in
I
English.
don't even know,
All we know is in
bruh.
Chinese.
I'm
Yeah,
illiterate.
so there's this festival
Yeah.
that you're supposed to go and sweep the graves, something like that.
Oh God, bro. Like, okay, keep talking.
Oh,
Let me just
oh
Google
wow.
it real quick.
I feel like I'm such a discount Asian. Jesus,
Oh,
I'm such an embarrassment.
same. It's just called
Yeah, so
Qingming
basically,
Festival.
oh yeah, Qingming. Yeah,
Oh,
Qingming.
Tomb
So you're
Sweeping
supposed to
Day.
visit.
Whatever
Yeah,
it's
tomb sweeping.
called.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sweeping graves,
Yeah,
tombs,
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You're supposed to visit your elders, and they usually they offer like foods. They bring foods, right?
Yeah. A lot of stuff. A
Have you
lot of stuff.
actually have you done that? Have you done that personally?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, I've done
Yes,
that.
because I haven't. I haven't.
Actually,
So why not you take over and tell the audience what like usually stuff is going
okay.
on?
You want like a general thing of what people
Yeah,
do.
just like a general
Okay.
abridged version.
So normally people would go to graves of their
Visit graves.
yeah,
Yeah.
visit graves of their deceased relatives,
Yep.
and they would, as the name suggested, tomb sweeping means like to clean their tombstones, uh, kind of bring food and bring sometimes alcohol and burn incense, kind of like have a little get together, I'd say, with
No, I think the theme is like these are offerings for them in the
yeah,
afterlife,
yeah, yeah. But
right?
also, the main thing is,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
sort of like reconnecting with them and then spending time with them.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the whole intention behind. That's why you want to clean
And
the
then
tombstones, right?
they believe that if you don't do that, like the ghost of your elder is gonna like cause like bad fortune or something, right?
Or they're gonna suffer in the
Yeah,
afterlife.
literally haunt you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Literally
yeah.
haunt
So
you.
that's that.
Yeah. I think that's what your mom was referring to.
See, I'm scared though because
Yeah.
she grew up in a household that like that where that practice is so like prominent because my
Uh-huh.
grandmother, her mom, is really superstitious. Okay, and then
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah,
she
yeah,
would
yeah.
do all these stuff. She would have
Feng shui,
yeah,
like
yeah,
all this
yeah,
stuff.
all these stuff. And my mom still do that thing. Like even let's say
Oh, right.
we're moving to a new place, she would yeah, right,
Oh.
yeah. So that's why when she told me, I was like, okay, I want to continue the tradition. I want to do something that you asked me to do because I don't want let's
Sure,
say
sure.
let's say the afterlife is real. I don't want you to be unhappy or unsatisfied, right? So I want to do
Yeah.
everything I can to satisfy your needs. But
Uh-huh.
the thing is, I'm kind of like detached from that, kind of detached from
Yeah,
this
I see where you're coming
traditional
from.
Asian culture. And I
Yep.
think a lot of
Yeah, I understand,
people,
I
from
understand.
especially from our generation, the problem
Yes,
we
yes.
face is that we are so detached from that
Yeah, of course.
because of electronics.
We grew up with science,
We
right?
grew up with
We
science, we
grew
grew up
up
with
learning
technology.
biology, yeah, all those stuff.
This is something that I'm scared that this whole Asian culture or just cultural practices in general and like worldwide will slowly
Uh-huh.
be rendered obsolete because more and more of us was gonna be more detached.
Yeah,
Let's say
yeah,
your
yeah.
son, my daughters, my grandkids. No one's gonna know what is going on because I didn't teach
Yeah,
them,
it's probably gonna end up like every culture is gonna be in like a huge mixing pot, and then we just get like
right?
mixed
Do we
together,
just create
right?
our own culture then, like one amalgamation of culture?
I
But
don't know. See, like part of the Asian culture, I actually really, um, like I feel really confined to is like what you just said. Like you would want to make your parents happy, right?
yeah,
That's a huge thing in Asian culture. So like I remember like listening to someone who's not from Asia
yeah,
speaking on this matter. They find it like absurd. Like why it's your life, your future. Why would you want or why would you try to like care about your parents? They done their like duty, right?
mm-hmm,
You don't have any ties to them. You're not like in debt to them or whatever.
mm-hmm,
But in Asian culture, I think even for us, right? We're although we are detached, but this theme still kind of sticks with us.
yeah,
And at least for me, right? I tend to want to like make my parents genuinely happy. I want to make them proud, all that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But I don't know, because one part of me justifies this as, oh, it's just part of the Asian culture. But there's this other logical part where I'm questioning, like, oh, is this something that's gonna actually do more harm than good? Is it's my pursuit of, or rather than pursue, like me following this culture, is it gonna do me like more harm than it does good?
I
So
don't
like I
think
always
it's
have these questions in the back of my head.
I don't think it's gonna do
Because for
harm.
example, right?
Yeah.
So for example, right? You really like this partner you have, but then your parents are like so against it. But so in
Oh,
Asia, we
okay.
have this concept on like who you're supposed to marry, right? They they stress this like what is it? I only know how to say it in
We
Chinese.
have a lot
So
of words that don't know how to
yeah, we have a
translate. Wait,
lot of
what's
words.
it?
It's hard.
Say it in Cantonese. See if I
It's
know.
it's like 門當戶對. So you sort of like
Oh,
you have to marry your equals.
I don't
So for
even know how
example,
to
if you're
translate
like
that.
really educated,
Yeah,
if you marry someone who is not,
yeah.
then it's like a disgrace.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. But
It sounds
that's a really
this
old thing though,
Yeah,
is it
but it's
not?
still there. Like it's still in our Asian
I feel like it
society. I
only
mean,
persists in like rich people
really.
because
I guess. I
a lot
guess.
of
I mean, not if you're talking about rich people, then I would say this concept of marrying equals, or like I don't know what I could like what keeping the bloodline pure or
no,
something.
no, no. It's just like so. I know for a fact that it still exists because
Oh
some
yeah, definitely.
rich, like wealthy family, they don't want to, which is really bad. They don't want to associate with people from lower classes,
Oh yeah,
right?
class
So
discrimination has
yeah,
always
yeah,
been there, right?
so that's I think that
I
that
don't know.
only persists in that part of society, but I don't think it's still a prominent thing in nowadays culture.
Yeah. All right. If you had kids, though, would you pass these values down? Or like what values or what part of these Asian cultures would you actually pass down? Or would you just like
top
forego
three
everything and just
top
like,
three cultural practices that I would choose to pass
yeah,
down. Um,
All right, BuzzFeed, let's go.
that's a really good question.
Yeah,
First of
because
all,
I've thought about it.
yeah, do you have an answer already? Give me time to think.
I'd like to hear yours first, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay. I think the first thing. I don't think. Okay. The first thing is that if I have kids, which is highly unlikely because I don't know.
Oh,
But
okay.
if I have kids, I would make them learn Cantonese
So
language. First thing first. I don't care who I
Yeah.
marry. Let's
Yeah.
say I married a
Uh-huh.
German lady. I married someone from Mongolia, whatever. I need
Yeah.
my kids to learn Cantonese, both like Cantonese
Sure,
and
sure.
whatever language they wish to learn. So Cantonese. Second thing
Uh-huh.
is damn. I'd say I actually don't know. I feel like I don't know which practices are so
I mean,
important.
just like general cultural values, I
General
guess,
cultural value.
or like even philosophies, if you have like those kind.
Chinese philosophy. You know what? You go first. God damn, let me think.
Like, okay, first off, like language, I completely agree with it,
Okay.
because language is like, so culture and language, they are intertwined. They're like two parts of the same piece. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you can't really separate language from culture, right?
Yeah.
So as long as the language is alive, most likely the culture is alive, because
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
culture is like encoded into that language. For example, like Korean, right? You have different words, terms for addressing elders, younger people.
Yeah.
That, and most of all because Cantonese itself, it's getting more and more marginalized. So for those listeners who don't know, Cantonese is actually a regional dialect of China.
Yeah.
So nowadays, when you meet most of mainland people, they all speak Mandarin, which is 普通话. So like the ni haos we always get, like that's Mandarin. For people in
Stop
Hong
saying
Kong,
ni
and
hao
like
whenever you meet a Chinese person.
ni
Stop
hao,
that.
ni hao ma, it's always like that. It's like, oh, you're from China, oh, ni hao. I'm like, bruh.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
I mean, I'm not against it, but it's just like, it's kind of like,
That's so dumb. That's equivalent to like, oh, you're from America? You're from America? Hi.
do you like cheeseburgers?
You're saying
Are you
hi.
fat?
You're saying hi to them. That's it.
Yeah, but
What's
like,
the
what for? Like,
right?
what's
That's so dumb.
what's the big deal about it?
Okay,
I
second
don't
thing
know.
that you would
That's my 2 cents.
second thing that you would pass
Yeah,
down to.
so like me going back to like the marginalized dialect thing, even so it's spoken in Guangzhou, mainly the Guangzhou province, the Pearl River Delta, that part.
Okay.
So a few years back when I visited Guangzhou, because I had some relatives
Yeah.
in mainland,
Yeah.
people still speak people still speak Cantonese.
Yeah.
But now you almost can't find anyone who speaks the dialect anymore. It's almost
Really?
all like, it's all uniform 普通话, and
Damn.
it's getting like more marginalized. Even in Hong Kong, my local city, kindergartens or like primary schools, they teach Mandarin. Like they teach Chinese using Mandarin rather than like Cantonese. I don't know why.
That's messed up.
It
messed
probably
up.
has something to do with politics that I don't want to mention here. Like,
Whoa,
okay, I
Josh!
don't
Whoa,
want
steer away from that topic, Josh.
okay, yeah. Hold me back.
But yeah. Okay. What's the second
But
thing?
yeah,
What's the
so-
second thing you will pass down though?
A second thing I would pass down is probably I don't know, some fractions on some fragments of Eastern philosophy, like the way like we think. I don't know, because the way we think is different, right?
Okay,
Sometimes in Eastern philosophies they value passiveness,
oh.
and in contrast, in Western philosophies they always value like dominance or confidence.
Really?
So like, if you put it in a yin and yang
Okay.
context, right? So for example, for a Western child, their parents might tell them to, oh, you have to stand up for what you believe, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be afraid to speak out. But then in Chinese parents, they tell their kids to, you shouldn't be getting into trouble, right? You shouldn't say that stuff, right? You shouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
You should just be quiet, do your calculus, get your A+, and get your doctorate degree, and then
Okay.
just earn money.
I guess.
Like that is different.
I guess. But
Like
would you
the
would
way
you
we
want your
think.
kids to be passive though? Like because that's the
No, I want my kids to learn everything. I want
uh,
my kids to be able to learn both sides. Like I don't think any philosophy is superior than any other philosophy, but I just want my kids to know my part, at least like what I passed down. So I don't expect them to follow. They might say, "Oh, you know what, Dad, this is fucking bullshit." Like they might be like, "I don't care about your Asian heritage."
okay.
I
Okay.
mean, but still, I'm gonna probably just tell them about it. It's like sharing bedtime stories.
You
I
know
don't
what? I
know.
got a really, really interesting second thing that I want to pass down to my children.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound weird and dumb, but the second thing that I want to pass down to my kids are Chinese culture related urban legends.
Oh,
So,
so you.
because
Oh yeah,
it
yeah,
may
yeah.
not resonate with everyone, but me growing up, I find let's say I don't believe in ghosts, whatever, right? But still, listening to those urban legends, just
They make really good bedtime stories.
yeah, yeah, and also it paints a picture in your head of what
Oh yeah.
what that would be. Let's say an urban legend from like 1,000 years, like from ancient China, because we don't have like
What
visual,
urban legends? Give me like an example.
um, like
Like top
urban
of your
legends
head,
from from
because I don't really know any of them
let's say
that I
like
recall.
heaven and hell related urban legends. Okay.
Are those even urban legends? Aren't those just like religious beliefs? Like incarnation, like those stuffs, right?
I mean, I'd say urban legends because
I
almost
the
everyone.
only Yeah.
No, I was gonna say almost everyone back then they're religious in some way,
Yeah, yeah,
so that became like an
yeah, yeah,
urban
yeah, of
thing,
course.
right? But now it's like obviously a religious belief. But me growing up and me listening to
Okay.
like to all my relatives talking about how let's say after someone die, these people from hell are gonna roam the earth for in search for their soul, right?
Oh,
And then
yeah.
let's say back then I didn't believe in ghosts or supernatural stuff, but that still painted a picture in my head, like forced me to envision or imagine what it would be like to
Huh.
have these creatures or beings on earth. So that kind of made me tap into the so-called Asian culture or stereotype to make me
Okay. Okay.
imagine those stuff with what I learned from the culture.
Uh-huh.
So that's why. So,
I mean,
see, I
now that you say about these
yeah.
stuffs, there's actually like it's not really an urban legend, but there's like a story behind Chinese New Year. So,
Oh yeah,
in
yeah,
Chinese New
exactly,
Year,
exactly.
they would light, they would like what are the firecrackers?
Yeah,
Those stuff, right?
yeah.
The reason why Chinese people have firecrackers in New Year is because that's sound. So every year at that, I think near the lunar cycle or whatever that is. So a monster comes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, I don't know. Does it eat people? I think it does,
I
right?
think it does. Yeah.
And the firecracker sound is supposed to scare away that monster that comes out at New Year. So that's pretty interesting. I mean,
I mean, just yeah. Even though even the Dragon Boat Festival, even Chinese New Year, these stories
yeah,
behind
they
it
have
are urban
stories.
legends
Yeah.
that made into what festivals are today. So the second thing that I would pass down to my
Yeah, I
children,
think these stuffs are
and
worth
also
passing down.
yeah, side intention is to haunt my kids for life. Is to
Oh yeah, if you
is
don't listen to what I say,
yeah,
like
yeah
you're gonna
is
eat
to
them.
pass down urban legend. Have you ever okay? So during lunar calendar. I mean, according to a lunar calendar, during the
Yeah,
in
yeah,
July
yeah.
is the Ghost Festival, yeah.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
wait,
I'm
but your
never.
parents are Christian, so it's different. So my mom.
Yeah, my mom is a Christian. My dad is
Oh,
not.
did your
My
dad?
dad's not.
Has your dad ever told you something not to do during like the Ghost Festival?
No, my whole family, even before my mom was a Christian, they were never big on superstitious stuff.
Oh, my
We only
mom.
had like minimum superstition going on. So when I came to Hong Kong and we moved into our first new apartment
Yeah.
here, we stepped over like a fire or something.
Yeah. Stuff like that. So my mom.
Yeah, we only had those stuff. And my room,
Yeah.
so my room has like a view on the cemetery, right?
Oh,
And
even like till now.
honestly, I don't care. I think cemetery is pretty chill.
I mean,
Like I vibe with it, you know. It's
yeah,
pretty like aesthetic pleasing.
yeah,
But then my mom would cover it with like a thing, so like, oh, you're not supposed to see it. It's not good for you. But
yeah,
now it's always just be like, really? But then I take the bus to school every day, and it goes through the cemetery. Like,
yeah.
so
So
should I stop going to
one
school,
of
mom?
yeah, that reminded me. One of the
Mom,
things.
if you're listening, please remove that thing from my window. I'm sorry.
One of the things my mom told me is that let's say you're lost in the woods, okay, and then you came across
Yeah.
you're homeless now. You can't go back to your home because you're lost. You came across a
Uh-huh.
temple and you came across a cemetery. Okay, which
Okay.
one would you
Yeah.
rather spend a night at?
Ah.
Okay, and first thought I was like,
Ah.
okay, I'm gonna choose the temple because the gods are there.
I'd probably not choose anything because
Okay,
like
so
I
you
would
have to
just like
choose one.
sleep
So
on
my
the
mom
street.
told me,
I'd probably go with a cemetery though.
yeah. So my mom told me, do not sleep at the temple because, and
Oh,
let's say the temple,
yeah,
yeah,
anger the gods.
no, the temple, they're gods, right? So you know how,
Yeah.
uh, 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 so the more powerful the gods are, the more powerful
Oh,
the
okay.
demons may be. So
Huh.
sleeping, like spending the
That's actually the
night,
first time I've heard
yeah,
about it. Wow.
yeah. So spending the night at the temple, there's a higher chance for you to encounter something that's way more powerful than souls that are peacefully resting in tombstones.
So you get caught in like the crossfire.
Yeah, exactly. So you would rather spend the night at cemeteries and stuff like that. My mom would tell me all these like, do not wear a white
Wow.
colored T-shirt during the Ghost
Oh yeah.
Festival. Do,
This is also one thing. You're not supposed to open umbrellas indoors.
yeah, exactly. See all these stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have to tell my kids these are Asian
But
culture.
I bet like it's if the our listeners who are not from like Chinese families, they're gonna be like, what the hell are these guys
Yeah,
talking about? It's
exactly.
so
This is like you're
weird.
tapping into the real Asian culture here.
Oh yeah, this is
And
real
do not
Asian
like
culture. Not boba tea K drama. The real
do not
culture.
stick your chopsticks into your rice.
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah,
not supposed to stick it like. Oh
because that
god,
looks like for those who may not know, so sticking your like chopstick into a bowl of rice, that kind of
straight
looks
up,
like,
like straight up
yeah,
vertically,
that looks
vertically.
like incense, which is a taboo because we burn incense to
Yeah.
worship gods or the deceased, so that's
Oh,
not a
I
good
swear
thing,
to,
right? So
I
all
swear,
these stuff,
my parents get triggered.
please don't. I respect all religion, I respect all culture. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying this is like some weird and really specific stuff, and especially in Asian culture, there are a lot of stuff that you should not do.
Yeah, there are a lot of taboos. There are a lot of taboos.
So second thing I would pass down are urban legends and so-called superstitious practices. I don't
You
know
just
about
want to
third
haunt
thing.
your
Yeah, I
kids.
just want to
Wow.
haunt my kids. I don't know about third thing, but these are so make them learn Cantonese and haunt them for life.
I mean, we could continue. We can continue this topic for a bit, to be honest.
What do you mean?
Like next episode as well,
Oh,
because I feel like there is a lot of
there are
stuff
a
to
lot of
talk
stuff.
about.
There are lots of stuff, definitely.
If you guys are listening are
We can do,
interested in
yeah, we can do a part one, part two.
listening to us share more about Asian culture and our heritage and like what it means for us to be like Asians in the modern era, we could make this like a series segment, mini series, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I'm super
So
interested.
unfortunately, the time's up right now because we don't want to push past like the 1 hour mark. We don't want
Yeah,
like
we're at like 53.
we don't want to
54.
drag on too much.
But promise you that if you guys find this interesting, we will continue this topic the next episode. And yeah, as usual, check out Gentleman's Pursuit at the different social media sites: Instagram, Twitter,
Subscribe to the
Facebook.
YouTube channel. Make sure.
Subscribe. Yep. And if you guys like our episode, make sure to like drop a like, subscribe, support us.
Also, sorry,
share it with your friends.
one thing to plug is that the latest Tales from the Gram article is up now on Gentleman Pursuits. This time we have Instagram handle Bit by the Watch Bug. His name's Andrew. I interviewed him, and he has this really gorgeous 1966 Omega Seamaster that his grandfather passed down to him. It's a really beautiful story, so definitely go check this out. And
check it out on the Gentleman's Pursuit website.
Yeah. And a small reminder as well, not reminder, actually announcement. The coming week, there's gonna be a special guest on the Gentleman Pursuit podcast, not this series, but the Watch and Whiskey podcast. This will be the first episode where I have a guest onto the podcast talking about watches with me. So it's gonna be exciting. So definitely stay tuned. And make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channels. Subscribe to follow us on Spotify. And once again, it's Josh and Ryan. It's Gentleman Pursuits.
Yep.
Have a nice day, guys. Thank you.
Stay safe.
For
Stay
tuning in.
hydrated. Bye-bye.
Bye.